Not sure when you're seeing this video, but today is May 25th, 2020, so happy Memorial Day. I want to get this video out nice and early because there's been a lot of questions about the EIDL loan, and I've had a really hard time keeping up with the amount of inquiries that you guys have been having. But today I'm going to highlight some of the more popular ones or some of the ones that I feel have the most value for this channel so I can respond to them, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there who have the same type of questions. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So our first viewer asked the question. His name is Paquito Gru. So his question is, what about paying off notes payable? Not accounts payable, but notes payable. So for those of you who don't know the difference, accounts payable is something that you need to pay. Let's just say you go to a hardware store and they give you basically credit. You have 30 days to pay that off, 60 days, 90 days, something like that. And it doesn't get recorded. It's just basically an account you have open, line of credit. But notes payable are actually something that gets recorded. So if you go to the bank and they give you a loan for 1 year, that gets recorded. Now, yes, you can use that money. You can use the EIDL money to pay off this note. But if it goes over 1 year, then it becomes long-term debt. And then you would not be able to pay it off. Keep in mind, it has to be a note that was made for business purposes. It cannot be a note on a separate business that wasn't applied for, or it can't be a personal note. It has to be a business note. So thank you, Paquito, for that question. Hopefully that answers it. Let's see, our next question is from Clutch Carson. Clutch says, I have a $20,000 EIDL loan sitting in the portal. My question is, can I buy replacement inventory with that money? It says you cannot buy a new inventory line, but can I rebuy old stock over and over as it gets sold? 75% of my operating cost is buying inventory to resell. Also, is there a time limit on when the money has to be used? I get the impression that it has to be used before December 2020, end of December 2020. Is that the cutoff? Thanks for the information. Okay, so Clutch is asking, what kind of inventory can I buy? So in there, it states that you cannot use it to buy a new line of inventory. So let me explain to you. If you were in the business of selling, let's say, hair products, and your main hair product was made by ABC manufacturer, and it was hair paste, and that's the main line of products you sold. But there's a new company that came out that does different applications for different hair. You can't spend the money on that line of product, but you can only spend the money on the products that you were buying previously to when you got the loan. What they don't want, when I say they, the SBA, the rules they have in place is they don't want you to kind of gamble with the money they're giving you. They want you to go after the same business you had before because it's already tried and true. You've already set up clientele around it. They don't want you going off in a totally different direction, especially if you're going to veer off into a totally different product line that has nothing to do with your current occupation or maybe the current line of work that you're in. So that's what they mean. So Clutch, yes, you can keep buying that inventory. You can still continue buying the same inventory as before. And as far as having a deadline in which you have to spend that money, I don't think there is one. I think you're confusing that with the payroll that needs to be paid within 8 weeks of the PPP loan. I haven't seen any restrictions on when you have to spend that money by. Remember, the EIDL loan comes with a 30-year term. So even if it takes you the entire 30 years to spend that money, I don't think there'd be any problems. Just keep up with the payments. That would be the most important thing. All right, our next question comes from Ganai Pereira. So Ganai is asking, I am a small business owner and I sell gems. I get the gems from overseas. Can I use the proceeds to buy supplies from overseas? Well, what I believe, Ganai, is that you cannot spend this money to buy overseas products. They want you to buy within the United States if it's feasible. If it's not feasible, it doesn't say anywhere in the outline from the SBA that you can't spend that money to buy products from outside the United States. Now, I know you're going to have a very hard time getting gems from within the United States, but make every possible attempt to buy gems from within the United States. If you can't, document the fact that you can't buy it. And then what you should do is try to spend that money on other approved expenses, such as payroll, utilities, rent, all those things first. And if you have money left over after you've paid for those things, then talk to your accountant about putting together a strategy in order for you to be able to allocate that money to buy those gems from out of the country. As long as you've tried every single way possible, there shouldn't be a reason why they would say that it was feasible and you just didn't do it. That's my suggestion. But remember, guys, I'm not a CPA, not an accountant. I just like to do a lot of research. So check with your accountant, your CPA, your attorney for all this stuff first before you do anything. Our next question comes from Jane Osborne. What Jane is asking is, do I need to report my EIDL loan as income to the PUA? Well, Jane, that's a great question. I've seen that one a lot. And the answer to that is yes, you do. According to the CARES Act, you have to make sure that when you collect any kind of income for PUA, you have to let them know. Even though this is not income, it's a loan, but this loan can be used to pay yourself a salary. So the real decision is up to the pandemic unemployment assistance channels. So your unemployment office, they basically would have to make that decision whether you need to stop collecting benefits or if you're going to still be eligible for benefits. Now, talk to your accountant about this because there might be strategies in which you don't have to pay yourself a salary first. You might be able to use that money to pay other salaries, other people in your business, and you might be able to pay utilities, all other expenses first. And if there's no money left over to kind of pay you, you might still be eligible for the pandemic unemployment assistance, but you have to check with the department first, the unemployment department, and you also have to check with your accountant to make sure that's possible. But run those scenarios by them and see if any of those apply to your situation. Hopefully that helps. All right, so our next question comes from GHS Guitar Strings. What he is stating is that he's used his personal credit card to buy a lot of business-related expenses prior to the pandemic. And his plan was to pay them off in March and April, but he's lost over $20,000 in revenue, so he can't pay them off right now. He has been approved for the EIDL loan, and he's wondering whether he can use that money to pay off his credit card, which is a personal credit card. And he is also asking if he can actually buy new equipment or previously owned equipment because he has he teaches music lessons. So he wants to know, can he use that money to not only buy equipment for his music business, but can he actually pay off pawn loans, which he had to take out because he pawned some of his equipment in order to keep himself afloat. So here's the answer to that. Yes, you can pay for your personal credit cards as long as that personal credit card was only used for business purposes, and in the event that it wasn't used for only business purposes and you used it for, let's say, 50% business, 50% personal, you have to make sure that you can document that the amount of money you paid for those credit cards were for expenses related to the business. Make sure you check with your CPA. I'm always telling you guys this because it's important. I'm not an accountant or a CPA, nor do I claim to be the final word on this stuff. You just make sure that you speak to your accountant before this. But if you can document that that money was spent for business related expenses, receipts, invoices, those types of things, then you should be good to go. Now, as part of your second question, which is you pawned some items that were instruments for your business and you need those instruments because that's part of your business. Yes, you can use that money to go and pay off those loans. Those are short-term loans. You can go and pay those off, get your equipment back, and you can go back to business as usual. So hopefully that answers your question. So if you guys have other questions in regards to the EIDL loan or any other stimulus-related question, don't hesitate to leave it down below in the comments. I will be doing more frequently asked question sessions just like this. I'm really excited that you guys are looking to me for some of these answers. And believe me, like I've said, this is not my advice. This is not what I'm telling you to do. This is what I would do if I was in your position. You always check with your CPA, your accountant, your attorney for any of these questions related to the EIDL loan, pandemic, and all types of situations that you might be in, because they can give you better advice than I can. So this is our last question. Said Fredericks Carlos asked, I got approved for a $6,000 EIDL loan as a rideshare Uber Lyft driver. What can I use it for? Can I use it for a down payment for a new car to drive as an Uber driver? Well, the answer to that is no. You cannot use the EIDL loan funds to purchase fixed assets. A car would be a fixed asset. What you can do is pay yourself a salary, and from that salary you can save up some money, and then you can use that money for whatever you want. You can put a down payment on a car, You can do marketing, you can do whatever it is that you'd like to do with that money. And you can even treat your family to a vacation. It doesn't matter, because once the money is paid to you through payroll, it's your money. You do as you please. So I just want to take this time to let everyone know that I'm super appreciative of the growth that our channel has had in the last month or so. I've never thought that we'd be such a great resource and such a great help for a lot of people. But remember, this is not advice that we're giving you. This is just what we would do, or what I would do if I was in your position. Always make sure to check with your accountant, your attorney, your CPA first before taking any actions. And lastly, guys, if you're enjoying this content, please give this video a thumbs up. We'd love to get in front of a lot more people. And if you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button. Consider also hitting the notification bell so you can be alerted when we do any new videos such as this one, because we will be answering a lot more questions in the near future. Also, we are creating a nationwide real estate company. So if you guys are interested in getting into real estate, or actually joining our team, which is incredible to say this, but we've been growing in almost every state. The growth has been tremendous. So if you guys are interested in doing something like that, I'd love to talk to you. I'm going to leave a link down below in the description section. And lastly, I would also let you guys know that we're raising funds to feed hungry families and people in need. So if you're interested in donating, I'm going to leave a link down below in the description section as well for that. Like always, guys, we thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.